Hi folks, hello and welcome back to another video right here on the channel. So this year's content on the channel is going to be predominantly retro. So I thought I'd drop by and answer a little question: what is retro gaming? So retro gaming, what is it apart from one of my main hobbies and something that an awful lot of us do on a regular basis? Retro gaming is that little nostalgia hit. It's playing those old games from yesteryear, enjoying them and just zoning out, just being somewhere else, being different. It's almost a culture, a subculture in my opinion. It's standing up and saying, yeah, I play Modern Warfare, yeah, I play FIFA, I've got PS5, Xbox One, whatever that's up to now, or whatever, you know. It's just being different, isn't it? It's going back to days gone by with times that are happier, and I will touch upon these points as we get further in. Why do it? An excellent question. Okay, so I think first and foremost, probably nostalgia. We all love a little bit of nostalgia, don't we? Personally, I think the games are just better. I'm happier playing like a Donkey Kong or a Spaceys or Pac-Man, Missile Command, Dig Dug than I am playing a Modern Warfare, Call of Duty, FIFA, and like that. I just think it's that going back to like a more innocent time, and I think as well going back to when it all started. You know, how can you be now with all the titles I've mentioned and not respect where it all started? So for me, nostalgia and the chance to rewind the clock and go back. Where do you start with retro gaming? Well, in my opinion, there's two trains of thought. There is the original hardware and there is the new HDMI plug-in systems. That's really your two choices. Yeah, you can go kind of PC and emulation, which like a lot of folks do, Raspberry Pi, stuff like that. But I'd say, in my opinion, as a seasoned retro gamer who's been there from the very start, you know, mid-70s, I'd definitely say either, depending upon your budget and your collector's mentality, you could go and find a system. For example, you could say the Nintendo 64. You could research it. You could go out and buy an original one off like eBay. Please try and avoid scalpers, folks. The nasty, nasty folks in the retro community. So you could go out, you could find like your N64, you could do your research, Wikipedia, you know, all around the internet. There's millions of like websites that have this content on there. Well, that's me. Find out like, you know, the top games for that system. Do like a search, like say for example, top 100 Nintendo 64, GameCube games, SNES, Mega Drive, you know, whatever your system, and start there. Make like a list of like what interests you. You think, oh, you know, I used to play that, or I fancy that, and maybe start off the list about sort of 10. That's what I've always done, like with every original hardware system I've got. But I will warn you folks, it is going to be expensive. Okay, maybe a slightly cheaper and a hit in one option are the HDMI systems. They cover all sorts, as like the NES, the SNES, the Mega Drive, PC Engine, Commodore 64, Amiga, the list rolls on, Neo Geo. Grab one of them and just have a crack. Have like a SNES in a box, you know. I'm going to go over the advantages and the disadvantages of them all as we go further along, but those are the two options. PC emulation, I'm not too sure about. I've dabbled in it, but there are certain systems, Dreamcast, the N64, oh crikey, and the Commodore 64 come to mind, and they're nearly impossible to emulate. They're just horrible with all the messing around. So original hardware, folks, or HDMI alternative. So with that in mind, which one? Okay, so like I say, the original hardware, if that's the way you want to go, you're playing the original machines. You've got the things like that come to mind, say a NES, Nintendo Entertainment System. Game don't work, blow the cartridge, put it in. You've got an original pad in your hand. You are playing the game, the machine, exactly how it was intended to be. So that is like probably, and like the nostalgia hit if you had like one of these systems like when you were a kid, you know, when you were younger, or maybe one of your friends or a relative had it. For the nostalgia hit and for the sheer authenticity, then most definitely I'd say original. HDMI, or like I said in the previous section there, you know, it's got the plug in and play aspect. These things, you just stick SCART lead in the back of your TV, lob your power on, boom, there you go. Right in front of you, you've got like sort of between say 20 and 40 games or whatever, you know, that particular system actually has on it. Right in front of you. It's the ease of use, it's convenience, it's to be able to pick it up and say, come on, let's just play, you know. As well with the original systems, you got things like they can be more awkward with our new like TVs now and stuff like that. You know, trying to get like the old RGB or SCART even to work on some of the newer TVs. Even if you can get kind of converters, sometimes they're a bit squiff, a little bit off. Whereas the HDMI systems have the authenticity in itself. Stay with me before you start screaming at me. You can have like CRT settings on them, which basically means it'll con your TV, put like sort of scan lines across your TV to give you more of that nostalgic feel. And like I say, being there, having done it and seen most of it, that's ample for me. It really is. So, you know, I'm just looking at my list here. It's a scripted video, this one, just for the change. Also the HDMI ones, they're easier to like transport. You know, I can just stick it in my bag, come to your house, couple of beers, let's go. So yeah, there are pluses and there are minuses, and like everything, guys, I think it comes down to personal choice. Okay, so the advantages of retro gaming. I've got like a list here with about 10,000 different ones, but off the top of my head, you know, keeping the old games alive, that to me is really important. More so like with newer generations and the VR headsets and Modern Warfare and all these kind of things. Cell phone games, I'm not knocking them. You know, you're a gamer, I'm a gamer, we're all gamers. But to me, it's basically what a massive advantage is being able to keep the old games alive. I think the time span, I'll come in from work and sometimes I love RPGs and stuff like that, or, you know, I will sit off and I'll play like management mode on FIFA or something. I haven't got 6 hours to sit down and play a game. As much as the Grand Theft Autos of the world and stuff like that, your Skyrims are engaging. Sometimes I want to get in, I want to grab a shower, and I just want 5 minutes on Donkey Kong, and that is my basic fix. I'm happy with that. So the 5-minute gameplay also. Going along with that, toughness. The old games are notorious for being tough. You know, the new games now hold your hand. You get like an intro on most new games. Press A to do this, press Y to do that. Nah. The old games don't hold your hand. They don't, folks. So for any snowflakes out there going, oh, I'm expecting this, don't. You'll get hold of something like, you know, a Dig Dug and you're playing it, or you die. You know, simple as that, really. Going back down onto the list. Okay, now another good one I made a note of here, and this is a chance to play the games, more so say for gamers of like my age, who've been there before, you know, and maybe you were a kid and you had like a Master System and like your mate had the NES. Back then, your folks couldn't afford to buy in every console, do you know what I mean? You were lucky if you got a console and you got like a game for your birthday and a game for Christmas, and if you were lucky you'd have a mate who you could sort of swap a couple of games with for a few weeks. That was the way it was, folks, when the consoles come along, certainly. Not so much computer games, but that's a whole different video for a different time. So yeah, it's a chance to play those games that you missed out on. You know, used to be like big, like with like video game magazines, and you'd like review the games every month, and you'd be like, oh man, you know, that looks amazing. You didn't have 50 quid to drop, and you know, neither did you folks. You know, you're talking like kind of a lot of it's like late 70s, early 80s. Anyone who watches like the Decade series will realise how hard those times were. So yeah, a chance to play those games you never had and like that you fancied. And probably my favourite one of all is retro gaming's cool. Have you played Atari today? Look up the reference, kids. So, disadvantages. I don't want to undo myself because I'm heavily biased. And as a content creator, I'm supposed to put it out there as being like, you know, right down the line, but yeah. Disadvantages are the obvious ones. If you are looking at the HDMI systems, you'll pay around about £100, and that's like a one shot. But the disadvantages of that is they are loaded with, say, you know, 20, 40 games, and that is it. I mean, there are exceptions that can be hacked, and I'm not even going down them lines again, different subject for a different video. But 99% of the time, these systems come preloaded with games. So the disadvantage is, what they'll tend to do is give you like a little slice of the Mega Drive catalogue, but you may not like that, so you're pretty much stuck with where you're at. So you could try something alternative, like maybe a Raspberry Pi, where you could use ROMs. And again, I'm not getting into legalities of that. You know, it's a whole can of worms, pardon the pun, for anyone old enough. Disadvantages of original hardware. The obvious ones, the cost, being scalped on eBay, shocking. Even some like games like, I nearly dropped the name of like a few different high street shops. I'm not going to do that. We all know they are in the United Kingdom that sell games and sell retro games. I don't want to get into any more trouble. And you know, they'll say, oh, it's retro, and they'll put an extra £5 or £10 on it. Shocking. Stop it. If any of you are watching, stop it. Let people play games. So you've got like your costs there like that. You've got, like I mentioned previously in the other segments, you've got compatibility issues. Will that old Mega Drive work on your brand new 50-inch TV? I doubt it. You can grab converters, you can muck about in that, but you know, you are going to get those issues. You really are. Also, as I say, you need like a real financial commitment in there to do this, more so original wise. Bad emulation as well. I'm not having to go the folks that emulate on PCs, because I know a couple of like my subscribers and friends do this, and they appear to do it very well on the videos that they do. But in my experience, it's an awful lot of messing around. Depending upon your temperament, whether you're a tinkerer, I'm not. I like to switch something on and get it going. Commodore 64, notorious to emulate. Nintendo 64, notorious to emulate. Probably Atari Jaguar, Sega Saturn, notorious to emulate. You're seeing the pattern here. So you can spend more time faffing around on PC settings and stuff and different controllers to get working than, you know, what you need to be. The idea is, like I've been saying all the way through, that quick retro fix. Hit it, turn it on, boom, let's play. My final thoughts, if you're still with me at this moment, thank you. Yeah, retro game for me is everything. It's one of my main hobbies. It's one of my main passions in life. I absolutely love it. Like I say, my reasons are to just go back and play the old games. I prefer the graphical style, pixels, and some of the 3D stuff to what we have now. It's just an aesthetic choice. It really is. I love the gameplay. I love the simplicity. You can have a game with an A and a B button, and you just think, you know, smart bomb, fire button. Yeah, try playing something like an R-Type, Project X, something like that, if you're a seasoned gamer, and come back and talk to me about it. The toughness levels, so you don't necessarily have the complexity, but you have like the toughness levels. The old game's just better, in my opinion. You know, the music, let's say the graphics, the gameplay, just everything about it, folks. I am just a massive retro gamer. I used to run like a retro gaming club right here on the Wirral and everything. I just can't get enough of retro games. And you know, the most important part is, I think it's a 5-minute fix. It really is. Yeah, you can argue there's like RPGs that'll take you, say, 40, 50 hours, your Final Fantasy, stuff like that. And hey, all the more power to you. Fantastic games. But yeah, that is basically, guys, my main selling points and my main point for wanting to turn the channel this year into a retro gaming, retro base for all you folks to enjoy. Okay, so join me as we go through 2023 and we cover the Blaze Evercade console, the VS. We cover all the cartridges there. You'll be seeing them next week in the new series. Decade will keep running. We're going to go through finish the 80s, go on to the 90s, and then we're going to hit the noughties after that. Okay, so listen, keep it retro, go play Atari today, and I'll see you all next week.